remember the first time you stepped into an arena to witness a collision of good versus evil? The excitement in the air, the roar of the crowd, and of course, the blood. It's time to relive those memories big time. A historical wrestling lesson taught by your professors, the legendary Terry Sullivan and Supermouth Dave Drayson. ROX-TV and International Big Time Wrestling present Big Time Memories.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Big Time Memories is back at you. I'm Terry Sullivan. This is Dave Drayson, and this is a live stream. Do you know what a live stream is?
Yeah, when I go to the bathroom. It's the only live stream I know.
But hey, we are all stocked up on Geritol and back for season number 3.
Can you believe it?
We got renewed.
Yeah.
Lots of good stories. I tell you, we can tease a little bit, I guess, about who's coming up this season.
We can. Well, we've got Mark Lewin.
Yeah.
Fans asked for that one. They asked for Fred Curry. They've asked for, oh my God, so many others.
The Dressing Room Confidentials.
The Dressing Room Confidentials, a favorite of a lot of people.
We're going to tell a classic Dr. Jerry Graham story in one of those Dressing Room Confidentials.
Yeah, and for those people, a lot of times we concentrate because you and I were associated with Big Time Wrestling, the Sheik's promotion.
Yeah.
But you were also involved with Bruiser Bedlam. But there was another promotion, that rivaled, for a while, the Dick the Bruiser promotion.
Yeah.
And we're going to do, feature that, and we're going to do a two-part episode on Dick the Bruiser.
Oh, that is going to be something, isn't it?
We hope so.
I've seen the notes, and that is going to be something for sure. And we talk about comments, we talk about the people, the reaction from the people, which has been amazingly positive. Personally, I rarely read comments on Facebook or YouTube or whatever they are because so many people are so nasty and bogus about it. But the people who've watched our show have been very, very kind, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, we like a number of hits that we've gotten just on the YouTube, not only on other, media, which, run into nearly 1 million, if not more. But, the Sheik episode, one of the very first episodes we did in season 1, at this time that we're doing this show, it's over 20,000 views already.
Yeah.
And the other one's climbing,
Bobo, Bobo's right up there, Butcher.
Yeah, the Pampero Firpo, Bull Curry one, even, Mickey Doyle and the Kangaroos and, God, we just have so much more to tell, And
one thing is that we don't pretend to know everything, even though maybe we think we do sometimes. There's hardly a day goes by that we're not researching these things or doing them, and somebody corrects us about something.
Yeah.
And that's part of what we try to do is set the record straight. And we've got a segment coming up in one of our Dressing Room Confidentials, which is rather lengthy, and it's going to handle all the corrections that have come up since season 2.
Yeah, besides our personal stories, which, those are all true, and, there's nothing to correct
as far
there.
As
But, when we do our research and, stuff like that, the internet isn't always correct.
No.
So we, dig deeper than that. We're going into books and we're asking other historians, to help us out and give us their, take and information.
Yeah.
And we put it all together and we try to make a good showing of, giving the fans, telling them about their favorite wrestlers from back in the day.
Yeah. And we're talking 50, 60 years ago with a lot of this stuff, and professional wrestling was not a thing that a lot of people decided, yes, we're going to keep voluminous records and keep them indexed in the Library of Congress or anything. No, you just Wikipedia is notoriously unreliable. So, it takes a lot. He really does. But we want to thank all the people for the questions they've asked. And should we get to the next part of our program?
Well, before we do that, we got to thank our crew at ROX-TV.
Oh, yeah?
You know, everybody from Bobby and, you know, Carlito. And, you know, Rudy and, you know, everybody else who, you know, gives us their time and gives us their energy, you know, to allow us to do what we do here and to, you know, record, you know, big time wrestling history, which nobody has ever done before.
No. So we do appreciate that. And speaking of Bobby, are you there?
Hello, gentlemen. How are you?
Good.
Good to see you.
Congratulations on season 3.
Thank you. This is Bobby Rocks, by the way. Our what are you, an executive producer, a Johnny-come-lately? What are you?
I'm a jack of all trades around here. Sometimes I even take the trash out.
That's true.
We've gotten a flood of questions since you guys have started the show, and you know, everyone behind the scenes has gathered up these questions, the best of, gotten rid of some of the ones you guys have already addressed a lot. And
Yeah.
I want to deliver some of these questions. I heard you guys mention Mark Lewin, so we'll christen the first question. It's from P to the J 100. And he says, "Hey gentlemen, I am a fan for life. Like someone else, I live in Dayton, and we were at the shows at Hera Arena every time they turn the lights on. Guys, is Mark Lewin still living? He was my absolute hero, and I'd love to know how he's doing."
We know Dayton, don't we?
Yeah,
by
Dayton,
God.
Ohio. Yeah.
Mark Lewin is coming up full show later on in season 3, but and we talk a lot about it, but
Yeah, Mark Lewin is still alive. He's living in the islands, San Juan Islands,
Yeah,
off
San
of
Juan.
Washington State, just across from Seattle.
with his Malaysian princess that he met in Singapore.
Yes, Linda.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
lovely Linda, Princess Linda.
Yeah, I saw him, a few years back at the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. We got to talking and stuff, and boy, he still looks great.
Yeah,
You know,
he does.
Yeah, still in great shape.
Yeah.
You know, he looks like he can still go.
Yeah. Amazing. A guy with that long a career who took the bumps that he did. Most of the guys are dead in their 60s.
Yeah.
But he's still kicking around and doesn't appear to be using a wheelchair or a walker or anything, right?
No, looks great.
So,
you know? Yeah. You know, he's just like you and me. He's lost all his hair. You know, but maybe that's the badge of honor and, you know, the world of professional wrestling, losing your hair, but you're still alive.
Yeah.
And like you said, most of the guys from big time wrestling, most of them are gone.
Yeah.
You know, they've passed away. And like you said, they were lucky to reach 60 years of
Right,
age.
yeah.
And it's that, people, over the years who say, oh, wrestling is all fake. Well, all the bumps that these guys take and the toll that they take on the road and being away from their families and stuff like that.
Lousy diet.
Yeah, takes a toll on your body, and that's
Yeah.
why they, didn't live to 60 years old. And if they live past 60, God bless them. And Mark
Yeah.
Lewin is one of them.
Yeah. Cowboy Bob Ellis is still alive. Flying Fred Curry. Irish Mickey Doyle.
Sonny King,
Sonny is still around.
Big Jim Lancaster,
Yeah.
Thunderbolt Patterson.
Patterson is still alive and doing well.
Yep.
Yeah. So, well, does that answer your question, Bobby?
It does. And
Sweet.
when we're on that subject, we got a question from John Smith. He asked, will we have any wrestlers from Big Time Wrestling on the show? So it kind of on the subject, I felt the answer was kind of in that last question, but if you guys want to address it.
We
Well-
don't have room for walkers and wheelchairs. On the show.
Yeah, we'd have to. We could fit a wheelchair in front of us or in between us if we
Yeah.
needed. But it's really tough because, like we said, most of the guys from that era have passed away. And if we did, bring any guys in, it's like just say Abdullah the Butcher. Well, he's in a wheelchair, and it's hard living in Atlanta and hard for him to get up here.
Right.
In the Metro Detroit area where we filmed this. And most of the guys, are in other cities and stuff. And then, who's going to pay for them to come? Because they're not going to pay for it themselves.
No.
I mean, if you went in your backyard and dig up a bag of money that you got hidden in there, I'm sure you could pay for it.
Yeah, not going to happen.
Not going to happen with me either.
Yeah, it's very difficult for a lot of them to travel a long distance also. But yeah, we're sort of, we do well with kids and grandkids of big time wrestlers. That might be a better shot.
Yeah, we'd love to get Paige Von Hess, Kurt Von Hess's daughter here.
Yeah.
Oh, she lives in, Canada, but, with the COVID and stuff, not able to travel. We'd also like to get Igor's son, Eric, here, which we tried to do that before, but, our schedules didn't, coincide. But, hopefully one day we can do something with those kind of guys.
Yeah. Yep, we can travel. You travel all over the world. We can start traveling to them.
Yeah, maybe I can take my ROX, TV little camera with me. I can, borrow the ROX-TV helicopter, and maybe
that would be a way to go.
Hey, okay. Hey, Slapnuts, what's the next question?
This next one's from Daniel8583. Was Ivan Kamelkov the guy who made championship belts? And also, how is there not more big-time wrestling footage available with all the footage that was shot in the mobile truck?
It's being held for evidence.
Yeah, it was stolen with a box office robbery, all the tapes.
Yeah. Ivan Kamelkov, you're half right. Or no, not even half right.
No, not even half right.
Yeah.
The guy who made most of the Detroit belts was Nikita Molkovich, a Canadian guy, also a wrestler, really good guy, really nice, friendly guy. He made the belts, but also you've had a guy who made other belts, Reggie Parks, who recently passed away. He did a lot of belts.
Yeah.
Dave Milliken, I think, is another name who's done belts.
Sure.
And then, some of the independent promotions around, I know in the XICW, Malcolm Monroe Jr. had a belt made, a replica of the Sheik's original belt.
Oh, man.
And he's got, I helped him with that, not making it, but I helped him, because he put all the names of the former champions on the sides, and, we have a picture of it that, we can show you fans that it's a beautiful belt.
But, it is, truly.
Yeah.
But Nikita Molkovich wrestled occasionally as Nikita Kamelkov.
Right.
So that's probably where the confusion comes in.
Now, what was the second parter of that one?
They wanted to know, how was there not more tapes? I think you guys kind of addressed that a little bit in previous episodes, but...
Well, the videotapes back then, they were big reels.
2-inch reels.
Yeah, 2-inch reels, and they were expensive. They weren't, to produce and, to buy. And, what they did, they took those tapes and they went from city to city, to different TV stations that played, the same tapes. And then they worked their way back, and then they erased over them, and, refilmed, using the same tape, almost like a... old cassette tape. You can record on it and re-record over it, and that's what they did. And not too many promotions held on to any of their archival, reels, and for that reason, because of economics.
WWE has most everything that's out there. I don't believe they have the UWF, which is Bill Watts' territory. I think Houston, Paul Bosch's widow, I think maybe she just sold it. His library, but those are still out there. WWE doesn't have them yet, but they've got, World Class and ECW and WCW, most of that. But, 50, 60 years ago, no one had the foresight to understand that in another half century, people might be interested in seeing those weekly big-time wrestling tapes.
Yeah.
Who would have thunk it?
Yeah, if you go to YouTube, you'll see some old tapes of maybe on Channel 9, CKLW. You'll see some, like I know the Hells Angels, there's a thing of them on there. I think there's a Sheik one on there.
Bruiser and Ernie Ladd.
Yeah, J.J. Dillon, Arnold Skolin, I know, was on one or so. And, there was... The whole reason is economics.
YouTube, you type in Sheik or type in big time wrestling, and Oh, yeah, go to the YouTube site and do a search for those things, and you should come up with a lot of interesting stuff. There's a lot of Terry Funk, Abdullah the Butcher out of there from the later 70s. Yeah, it's a real treasure trove if you look hard enough.
Yep.
The next couple questions are about the Killer Brooks episode.
Killer Brooks.
The first
That
one,
elbow, man, that's a stinky patty. Oh, that thing stunk.
Not as bad as that cheap cigar he smoked in the car all the time.
Yeah.
the first one's from Vic Ferrari. He wants to know, wasn't he tag champs with the Butcher?
Abdullah the Butcher? Not that I recall, at least not in the big time wrestling, era, because when we did our tag teams episode last year, we mentioned all the champions,
That's right.
tag team champions. I don't recall Abdullah and Brooks ever being a tag team. Do you?
Seems sort of an unlikely team, but not impossible. They may well have teamed, but I don't remember it.
Maybe in Texas or somewhere else, but not in
you
our
know
area.
what? That's possible.
Yeah.
Because they were both in Texas in the
80s,
80s.
yeah.
Yeah.
And Jim Coleman wants to know, did Killer Brooks marry Tanya West at one point?
No, he didn't.
No.
Jim Coleman, if that's really your name.
No.
He was married to a young lady named Connie. And then he
Connie.
was married later on to about 6 or 7 other ladies, brief things in the night. But he was never married to Tanya West. She married Cowboy Parker.
Cowboy Parker,
Ray
yeah,
Elmore.
Ray Elmore.
Yeah, they had the matching cowboy outfits. I'll tell a story about that this season about how he got mad at me. Cowboy Parker got mad at me for
You got heat with a cowboy?
I did. Yeah.
This next one's about Tony Marino. During this time period, who was the most prominent masked wrestler? This came on the Tony Marino episode.
Boy, who was the most prominent mass wrestler?
Student? Around here, yeah. I think it would be the Student.
Well, Student, maybe Ben Justice.
Right. Ben Justice is a good
Same
one.
sort of era.
We had Joe Christie, the Masked Marvel, and Jay York, the
Yeah.
Alaskan. He was maybe a Masked Marvel.
Though the Masked
too.
Terror, wasn't he?
Masked Terror, yeah,
Yeah.
but that's back into the late '60s. One thing about the Sheik, he didn't use masked wrestlers that much. Quite honestly, Mil Mascaras came in, but just once or twice. He would probably, I think, have been the most internationally well-known masked wrestler ever to appear in Detroit, and then right up there, George the Animal Steele, who at that time was the Student.
Yeah, the Student, and great matches. Like he got unmasked around the territory.
Yeah.
I know he was unmasked in Detroit and Toledo by different guys, and had the mask taken off. But he always had a pair of, not a pair, maybe one, but a nylon over his face too, so that it sort of distorted his face too. But then he'd come back, like the week or two later as George the Animal Steele.
Yeah. Remember the mask matches? The matches where the mask was at stake, and the mask guy would lose, and here goes, they're trying to pull the mask off, and they pull it off, and hello, what's this? Another mask.
Yeah.
Stipulation didn't say take off all your masks.
Well, another one, a couple of them, the Masked Yankees.
Oh, yeah.
God, like we said in the tag team episode, boy, they scared the bejesus out of us. But another one, how about handsome Jess Ortega?
That's right. You wore a mask for a while. Bull Curry and Johnny Valentine wore the asbestos mask for
Bull Curry and
to
Valentine.
avoid the Sheik's
fire.
flame.
I wonder if that was the same masks, though.
I think it could have been. There's not that many companies around the world that make asbestos masks.
Here's one. This would have been from the very mid-'60s when the Sheik bought the territory. Do you remember Lou Klein wearing a mask?
Yeah.
I forgot, what was his name? The Intern, maybe? Because
he was Jerry Graham's
Dr.
stooge.
Jerry Graham's.
Yeah.
Doctor and the Intern, boy, those two, what a pair.
Yeah. The Intern was sort of creepy because he was all hunched over. And
Well,
Just
then you
looked
had,
like a hunchback of Notre Dame kind of deal.
and then later you had Bob White as the medic.
The medic, that's right.
Kay Noble wore a mask. The lady, I think I mentioned that in the ladies episode. She was the nurse.
We had one named the Spider. That was Kay Casey
Okay.
under a mask. That's what, isn't that the name she used when she was with Universal Wrestling?
I don't know.
She came in, she wore a mask because nobody from Big Time was supposed to see that she was working for us.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't have made a difference.
Yeah.
But I know when they unmasked her, the fans were saying, "Hey, put it back on." No, she was a sweet lady.
Yeah, so I think that's every masked wrestler who's appeared in Detroit in the last 75 years. So
There you go.
there you go.
The chat room is buzzing. These questions are coming in. And ladies and gentlemen, I will try to get to all your questions before it's over, but just be patient with us. Guys, this next question's from Rock Legend 52. I heard rumors that you two may have been involved in the music scene in the past. Maybe you guys could clarify that.
You said this is from Brock Lesnar?
Rock Legend, but Brock Lesnar actually also wants to know.
Well, he's a big fan of mine,
I do. He won't leave the station sometimes.
Well, I know, your involvement in Toledo. You
What
were
was
a
the question? I was thinking of my...
No, they're asking us
music
about
business?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a rock and roll DJ. In fact, I DJ'd a lot of different formats and rock and roll mainly in Toledo, WIOT radio. Did that for full-time and part-time for, 15, 20 years, something like that. Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah, and
That's
me, being a drummer, I was a drummer since I was a kid. I've played, studio stuff a little bit here and there. I, jammed with, a bunch of people. I played in recent time over, I'll say recent time, some years ago, with a band called Rival with my friends Richard Long, who I worked with at AT&T, Tommy Sather, and Ed Dio, who has, since passed away, and, had great time jamming with those guys. Plus, I also did photograph and video work and other publicity stuff for, great bands around the city of Detroit, the Twistin' Tarantulas and Pistol Pete, Horse Cave Trio, my great friend and big wrestling fan, Ron DeVore, Lou Simon, and Tony Bison. Done stuff for the Orbitsons and, so many other bands that, I have a huge music collection at home, CDs, still cassette tapes, albums, it's when I'm in my car, and I'm always have music going.
Gotcha.
It's either rock and roll, blues, rockabilly, and even I love classical stuff. Just anything besides country or rap. Sorry.
Another Bobby Heenan line. I hate two kinds of music, country and western.
Yeah.
Did you ever work for the Bumpin' Uglies?
I know them, but I never.
Mysterious Movato and his brother.
Yeah, know them well, but I've never seen them live. I've always wanted to, but whenever they played out, those kind of guys played in small clubs, and it's like they go on at 11, 12 o'clock at night,
Yeah.
and I've already got an hour sleep in by that time.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay, my man.
So the next question is actually a really good one. I like it. Jeff Dillon wants to know, who was the biggest heel but the nicest person?
It's J.J.
Wow.
Dillon asking. this
J.J.
question.
Dillon's asking that one? Yeah. Just to mention on J.J. Dillon, and it's not him who's asking the question, but the Sheik gave J.J. Dillon his start here in Detroit.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
referee and wrestler.
It's true.
And I think he did something else in the wrestling business over the next 30, 40 years.
Something,
He
yeah.
might have done
Yeah.
something. But, boy, the nicest heel, but the nicest guy. Oh, man, the list is long.
Furpo, when he was a bad guy.
Pampero Firpo,
Sheik.
of course. Sheik. Sheik, you had to be in his circle, though.
Yeah, he was very untrusting of the general population. That was something that was a learned trait that he had.
Yeah. Bull Curry.
Oh, Bull Curry's a sweetheart.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Killer Brooks.
Brooks was a great guy. We had so much fun with Brooks, and Ben Justice they were mostly all nice guys. away from the ring.
Yeah.
There were very few that I ever had any problems with. Big Bad John did not like me, and I don't know why, and I don't care. But he was just, he was not a nice person.
Yeah.
to
Well,
me.
there is, and I always said that the heels, over the time of my life and, wrestling, I always say the heels are the nicest guys away from the ring, as opposed to the baby faces, the good guys. They were like the egomaniacs and, always snub people and snub their fans, and not all of them, but I'm saying on a majority.
Yeah, I agree.
But then there's some heels like you mentioned, Big Bad John and Bulldog Brower, and there's a few other ones that no matter what you did, you just couldn't get along with them.
Yeah, most of them kept it pretty professional in the dressing room. Don't bother me, I won't bother you, and kept it light and didn't get into heavy topics, no politics or religion for the most part, thank God. But
I'd say our greatest memories are with the heels.
yeah,
I'd
say so.
Yeah.
Sure, lots of fun.
BTM fan 1982 says, I really loved the Chic House episode. Do you guys have any plans to go on location again in the future?
Well, I'd say, if ROX-TV, and the guys, the crew are willing and able, I think we should do an episode at Terry Sullivan's house.
That ain't happening, believe me.
No.
You're not invited, no offense.
No, really good friend Dave St. Ange. Hopefully he's going to set us up and we're going to do a tour of Cobo Arena. It's, bring back the memory of what it used to be, but, they revamped it. It's no longer an arena anymore. It's more of a banquet facility and meeting facility. It's 2 levels now. So it's like, what you would think of the arena itself and the seating, it doesn't exist anymore. Mm-hmm. But on the outer skirts and the lower levels, the hallways and the old pillars that if you know where you're at in the arena, because, we roamed that arena, for years.
You still have the ramp that goes all the way around the outside of the shell?
No, that's gone.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
The box office area, that's all gone.
Oh.
But we hope to do an episode at Cobo Arena and let you fans know, who have memories of being there, of what it looks like today.
Where are you going on your next vacation?
I'm going to Europe.
We'll go with him.
Yeah.
Use his frequent flyer miles. That's going on the road. We can cover European wrestling.
Oh, and another one. Hopefully, I'm sure they will. The ROX-TV crew will be going because this will be the first time anybody's hearing this. We know that in September, I think it's September 17th, there's going to be a fan fest in Metro Detroit area. A lot of wrestlers are coming in. You and I will be doing, hopefully, a live big-time memory show with fans in attendance. That'll be a first for us. And it should be a fun time, fun day.
Oh, yeah. I remember the one Malcolm Monroe DBA did in 2017, the Welcome Back to Cobo, and first black man to ever run wrestling in Cobo Arena, and made his dad proud for sure, because that was a great time. Met a lot of our old friends, and he had 2 different wrestling events during the day, one in the evening.
Yeah, Fan Fest during the day and a wrestling show at night.
Jim Cornette had Jim Cornette.
Oh, geez.
Santino Marella didn't get along.
Yeah, I was there with Corny, and that didn't go well. It did for a while. We had a lot of fun. Saw a lot of great guys. Gary Kamensak and Brian Buchanan and Gary Mancuso and Leonard Brand and so many of the old photographers and friends. Oh, Brad McFarlane. Yeah. Saw those guys, and it was so funny. I'll never forget this embarrassed until the day I die. I'm so embarrassed. You know, the guy comes up to me, taps me on the shoulder. I turn around and he says, "Hey, hi." And it's like, "Hi." And it's like, I'm looking at him and he goes, "Terry Sullivan." And it's like, oh my God, I didn't recognize you at all.
We've been in touch, but we
Yeah.
hadn't seen each other since the
Yeah, for
the Great Recession.
yeah, we hadn't seen each other in about, what, 45 years?
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, God, our passion for wrestling hasn't waned, you know, one bit at all.
Not a bit. Nope,
You know,
we're
and,
going-
you know, thank God our, you know, wits are still with us, you know, most of it
Half
anyway.
of our wits are half wits.
You know, but it's like, you know, when you and I get together, and especially here, and, you know, when we talk on the phone, it's like some of those old memories that are like way in the back there that are long forgotten.
Yeah.
Something that you'll say or I'll say triggers something that, you know, God, wow, I haven't thought about that in 50 years.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, Slapnuts, throw another one at us.
This next one's from Amber Alert, and it's about the Terry Funk episode. And Terry Funk also appeared in the movie I Like to Hurt People, where he stole the show. Tonight, Terry Sullivan. Did he really knock you out, or was it kayfabe? I loved this episode.
I like to hurt people?
That's what it says.
No, he never knocked me out, and I like to hurt people.
All right. We might have to strike that
He
one.
was he got upset with me one day on live television on Channel 62. He was feuding with Mark Lewin at that point in time, and that was just a really, really cool time. The matches those two had were just sensational. Dory Funk was in, Dory Funk Jr., Terry's brother, and Sheik was in the mix, and Furpo and Butcher, I think. And he was upset one day about something, and he came out after his match to do an interview and says, "I want you to tell these people that I am the greatest wrestler who ever lived." And I says, "Well, yeah, absolutely. You were one of the greatest wrestlers who's ever lived." And he says, "No, not one of. You tell them I am one of the greatest, blah, blah, blah." And again, I responded, "Well, certainly, you know, your credentials are not in doubt." I don't think he was world champion at the time, but, you know, you've been everywhere and beaten almost everybody. And, yeah, you're one of the all-time greats. And he says, "I want you to tell me that I am the greatest wrestler who ever lived." And I said, "I'm not going to say it." Smack.
Yeah, I remember that one. That was, and that was when they had an impromptu Terry Funk, Mark Lewin match on TV, and the fans went nuts.
Might have.
Yeah.
Right.
But that wasn't in I Like to Hurt People.
No. It was around that same time, though.
Same time frame, yeah.
Yeah.
This next one's actually for Dave. Dave, what kind of camera were you using in those days? Something better than an Instamatic, I'd guess, especially since you weren't getting red eye in every shot.
Boy.
Yeah, they were even clear pictures. Didn't look like there was Vaseline on the lens.
Yeah, that guy who posts those things. I went took to my optometrist and says, you know, "Can you fix this?" And he says, "Yeah, nobody can."
There's a famous person who prints pictures that he took, but they all look like he's got Vaseline on his lens, and nothing is clear.
Yeah, we always say, you know, take the wax paper off your lens, you know, and then they're trademarked too. Did you ever notice that TM in the bottom? Like, who's gonna want to use or reprint that one? But no, back to the here. Let me start with this. My very first Kobo show that I went to, I took my mother's Brownie camera. So that was the very first one I used, and I think I might have told the story here on another episode or so, but what happened was I had one roll of film, and back then, you know, it was a roll of 12. You know, it's like, you know, you had to crank everything, and you had to have the little flash bulb in there. And after the matches were over, I opened the camera up to see what the pictures looked like. I had no idea that you had to take the film in to get developed. My mother didn't tell me that part of it. But then, you know, I'll say this would have been 1964, 65, 66. That's what I used. I used my Brownie camera first. And here, I'll tell another funny story on that one, because you always had to have these flash bulbs. Remember the little, you know, clear, or they were blue sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they were big, so when you're taking 12 pictures on a night, and God, now with digital, mercy's sake, 12 pictures of, the same, action thing. But yeah, so I didn't keep them in the sleeve that they came in. So that was the winter time, and I took all the flash bulbs out and I put them in my coat pocket. And then it's like I'm sitting down next to Dawn Porter and Cleo Lane, in my front row seat there, and all of a sudden, whoa, it got hot. Well, I guess the ends all touched, and they all, poof, they all went off at one time. And it's like I couldn't reach into my pocket because it was so hot, but after a while, I finally went in there, and they were all fused together. It was all one big, so I never got to take any photos that night because back at then, you needed a flash.
Yeah.
And then I think I switched to a swinger camera.
Oh, there you go.
It was a Polaroid swinger. So it's like, you take the picture and then you slide the piece out and then you wait, 2 minutes or so, then you peel back and then you get to see the photograph.
Those, yeah.
Yeah, so I used that. Then I used the Instamatic, with the flash cube. Remember the flash cubes, so you get 4 flashes off of one cube. So it was the little thing like that. And then I remember getting my first 35 millimeter camera. Boy, I don't remember the brand.
Minolta.
It could have been. It wasn't a Nikon. I know that. I never used Nikon cameras, but, it might have been a Minolta. Good point there. But, since that would have been in like 1969, 1970, when I was taking pictures and sending them to the magazines and stuff. So I used, a 35 millimeter, almost all my shots, that you see on the show and stuff. And when I was working for Big Time Wrestling, we were with a 35 millimeter camera.
Oh, wow.
And most of the time, there was, at one point, I had 2 cameras because sometimes I'd be in the dressing room and there, guy'd be bloody and stuff. So I'd want to take a color picture, because I have a lot of black and white bloody pictures, which, they look okay, but, color looks good when, red in color. So I'd carry 2 cameras around. So, but even back then, you had, a roll of 36, 35 millimeter film. So that's what I was shooting, Tri-X film. And, I'd have, 2-3 rolls and, get them developed. And, I did my own developing too.
Oh,
I had my own dark room in my basement, that I printed all my, pictures and, enlargements and everything else and bring them to the next Kobo show, show them to Joyce and Eddie Jr., who picked out, they usually took them all. And they always gave me $1 a piece. I remember that. They gave me, and then, it came time to when I was doing color stuff and, doing more photographs, shooting more and more and more. And then it's like, God, it was starting to cost me, money. And I really wasn't making money doing this.
Right.
I did make money writing body press stories, which I got paid $5 per story. That's probably the first time I'm saying that ever. So I was getting $5 per story, $1 per picture, and really wasn't making that much money. And I asked Eddie Jr. one time, I says, hey, I'm going to have to, start charging you more for the photographs. And it's like, oh, good. Here, take them. Get out of here. We don't need you. And it's like, oh, crap. I don't. Yeah. So I kept it the same price. But the way I did make money, sometimes, it would be after the Kobo show, I'd go into Joyce's little office where, she wrote out all the checks, to the guys and stuff. So I'd get there and, she's going to write out a check and she goes, I already did the books and stuff. Here, I'll write it at the top of the ledger and you pay, I'll pay you next week. Which was fine. So that, the next, week I'd get paid for 2 weeks. Well, sometimes she didn't erase it off to the top. So like maybe a month or 2 later, she says, oh, I still owe you for, like $80 for here. And I was like, oh, yeah, I guess. So I'd get a double payoff, so, but there was times that, I was, doing the photographs and writing the stories. I was making more money than most of the enhancement talent.
Yeah.
You know, who got
Sure.
what, 15, 25 bucks, 30 if, you know, they were lucky on a good house.
Did you ever sell any of your photographs to the fans?
I did for a while. Brad McFarlane was good at that.
Yeah, I was thinking about
He
Brad,
had, you know,
yeah.
his big, you know, photo book and stuff
Yeah.
with like 4 or 5 pictures of the same thing in each sleeve. And he'd sell those, what, 50 cents, $1 a piece to fans at Cobo. But I rarely ever did that. You know, I was into collecting, you know, the body press programs because I used to get like 10 of them every show. And I'd send them out to all my friends in different cities across the United States who, you know, now I see that they're selling them and making good money off the things that I sent
right.
them, you know, back then. But, you know, God bless you.
Yeah. Hello,
Next question.
Well, speaking of Ed Jr., this next question is actually about him. Wrestling Fan 17 says, I love the show. I've been watching since season 1. I was wondering if there's ever going to be an episode on the late Captain Ed George. I would love to know more about his feud with Bulldog Don Kent.
Next question.
Yeah. To answer that one real quick, no. If we did a Eddie Jr. highlight, well, you know, we'd have a 1-minute episode.
I think Eddie is going to be featured in our a show we're tentatively calling the All-Star Supporting Card, which is the you know, we've stuck mostly with the guys and women, well, guys who were primarily main event level talent, some of the biggest names, but you know, and you have 21 matches in a card or even 10 matches in a card. You got most of the people who aren't in the main event, maybe weren't in the main event very much. So we're going to talk a lot about them, and we could talk about Eddie because Eddie did he was effective in some ways. I mean, the people liked him, and that's the bottom line. The people liked him. I don't quite get it, but the people liked him.
Yeah, he put butts in the seats for a while. God bless him. You know, we've had, you know, good and bad times with him, and sometimes we kiddingly joke about him. But you know, he passed away recently, and you know, God rest his soul.
And honestly, I don't have anything negative to say about Eddie. He could be infuriating sometimes, but not so much with me. He was always very friendly, and you know, we would hang out every now and then in Williamston, and he used to come over to my place and hang out and listen to rock music or something. He used to bring these biggest, he'd stop at the party store and would he load up at meats and cheeses and everything. And wow.
Wow.
But yeah, he always treated me well. And I lived in Williamston, which was his home. So when we went to the matches, I usually rode with him and whoever else might be around at that point in time. So yeah, he made a lot of money for the guys, especially in Dayton and Toledo, and which were considered his towns. So, but yeah, he had his issues, don't we all?
We got time for a few more questions. One of them was, I always wondered if Lucille Dupree and Joyce Farhat were related. They kind of looked alike. Is Lucille still alive?
Neither is still alive, unfortunately. Not too sure on when Lucille went. Joyce went, 5 years ago, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, a little bit longer than that. Time flies. It's been about 7-8 years, I think.
But no, they did look alike.
Yeah.
And you should see Joyce's granddaughter. She looks exactly like Joyce. But no, they were not related. Although there were very, very few people who got into Joyce's office. Joyce held court in this little office at Cobo. The Sheik would be there. Connie Brooks, Tim's wife, would usually be in there to keep her company. Very, very few other people. But Lucille was one. And if Lucille was on the card, you could probably find her engaged in a lengthy conversation with Joyce.
Yep.
Michael Pravarnik says, you guys have briefly mentioned the UWA, but who was the main person that sold you on the idea that you were not being paid enough by the Sheik? Because they must have been a great salesman.
That's for you.
Well, that's a great question, Mike. The guy who was in charge of recruiting the roustabouts that would go on to screw the Sheik was Jack Kane. Jack was what we call a booker, and he's the matchmaker. He's going to decide who wrestles who and all the details involving that match from beginning to end in concert with the wrestlers themselves. But I've been in a lot of different jobs, very different industries, and you know what? I never think I'm getting paid enough. I get a raise and I think, yeah, it's about time. Yeah, by golly. And then I get my next check and geez, I could use a little bit more. But with wrestlers are generally complainers and whiners. I hate to say that, but it's the truth. And when it comes to money, they never think that they're getting paid enough. Typically, the main events are going to take home 5%. The next couple of matches down 3% each, and then it goes from there based on how much is left to dole out. So, and especially if the wrestlers talk to each other and they find out, oh, Sputnik Monroe made $45 and I only made $35. Well, there might be a lot of reasons for that, but that's what the promoter does. They make those hard decisions. But yeah, it was Jack Kane who basically took, he understood the fact that people were not happy. And this is also at the time when the guys were making these lengthy trips to New York State where there were no crowds, therefore very little money, and you'd end up losing money on a trip. So he picked up on that, and away we went. It just started to like a little tidal wave.
Who do you think he approached first?
Brooks.
Probably Brooks.
Yeah.
Then Marino.
Yeah.
It's almost like Michael Corleone, interrogating, was it Paulie or something? Who approached you?
Well, you got to consider who he needed to fill out a promotion or fill out a card. And probably first and foremost, he was going to need a high-quality bad guy and a high-quality good guy. So he got Marino and he got Brooks, which was a hot feud. Problem, people had already seen it now for about a year. It was everywhere.
Well, then you had Ben Justice.
Louie, Psycho, Homer Odell, Rip Hawk, Chris Markoff, Carl Von Schatz.
Blackjack Luca,
Dr.
Beach.
Dr. Beach, Bad News Jackson, we called him.
Yeah, well, what a crew. We had a good thing going for a while. We put on some really good shows, and we drew some good fans.
Well, you remember Ernie Ladd used to wear a jacket, and what he had printed on the back of it? Promises.
Yeah.
And I used to think about that all the time, because we had all these big promises, and we're going to do this, and we're going to bring in these wrestlers, we're going to bring in that wrestler. Oh, yeah, have we ever seen that happen before, where the Sheik, member of the NWA, has some opposition, and you're going to bring in all these NWA guys? No, ain't going to happen.
Hey, let's not answer any more questions until we get a raise from ROX-TV here.
Oh,
There
man.
you go.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
I don't know. Are there more questions?
I got time for two more. Let me give you this one real quick, and then we'll go with our final question. This one says, very nice work, gentlemen. I've heard on more than one occasion that Mickey was born in Canada. Is there any truth to that? And can you tell me how old Mickey is today?
Who?
Mickey who?
Mickey Doyle.
Mickey Doyle?
Oh.
No, Mickey Doyle was born in,
right?
East Detroit.
Oh.
He went to, I think he was East Detroit, St. Clair Shores. There you go. He was a St. Clair Shores native, played baseball, in grade school and high school there. Mickey is, he's in his 70s, I would say. I'd have to go back and look at my notes on, the year that he was born, but he's in his 70s. Lives in northern Michigan, comes down, back down this way to St. Clair Shores and the Detroit area to visit his family all the time.
Yeah.
So,
And we have talked about having him on, but the schedules, since he's up in northern Michigan, it just hasn't worked out.
Yeah. But yeah, great guy, great friend.
Yeah.
Every time,
Primo.
every time I get together with him, it's just a laugh fest.
Yeah.
We tell stories, and I mean, he was all over the place. And if Tim Keenan, a good friend of ours, wrote a book
that's
on
right,
Mickey
about
Doyle.
Mickey. Yeah.
Everybody loves Mickey. So if you go to like Amazon, or I think it's on Amazon.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Look up Mickey Doyle, Everybody Loves Mickey by Tim Keenan. Get the book. It's a very short read, maybe 150 pages.
Yeah.
I contributed a lot of photographs to it.
Yeah.
He interviewed me for it, so I've got some tales of woe that me and Mickey went through over time. But, it's a great book.
Mickey was one of those guys who, throughout his career, he went to a lot of places. He was very popular when he was supposed to be popular, and when he was supposed to be a bad guy, he did that well too. But, he never quite cut through the elite, so to speak. He never
Didn't get
made
the push.
Yeah, but he was just sensational, just a joy to be around. But everywhere he went, he was prominently featured. He wrestled Roddy Piper when he was in L.A., but it wasn't a main event. It was a, middle of the card kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So he's wrestled everybody.
And he always found his way back to Detroit here, and appeared on the Kobo shows, and we did a lot of independent shows when he became one of the Kangaroos, and I got to manage him then, and had a lot of fun with that team. And then when he teamed up with Al Snow as the Motor City Hitmen, boy, we had some fun. And Al Snow, boy, his career really took off after maybe me and Mickey were holding him back for some reason. I don't know. But, Al Snow, great guy. Mickey Doyle, great guy, too.
I wanted to just say thank you guys so far. This working with you these 2 seasons have been wonderful. Our final question to take us out is, beyond what you mentioned at the beginning of today's live stream, what wrestlers can we look forward to seeing profiled in the future?
Oh boy, you fans, whenever you watch one of our episodes, be it, on one of the features or one of the dressing room confidentials or whatever, leave a comment. We get, like the Chic, episode, 20,000 views, Bobo, 15,000 views on YouTube, so 15,000 people have watched it, but only 50 people have left a comment. That's all we ask. If you take the time, we appreciate you taking the time to watch our episodes, but please leave a comment. That's the only way we know what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, if we need corrections, and, that's the only way we find out who you want us to feature. Like people are saying George Steele and Dusty Rhodes, and
Don Kent.
Don Kent, and we did Terry Funk, but what about Dory Funk? And you fans have to let us know what you want to see, and me and Terry will do it.
Yeah, but then it's got to, from there, it's got to be somebody that we have ideally some personal interaction with, so we can really talk about what they're like and why they were the way they were. And a lot of these guys, I've sat in the Sheraton Cadillac bar with Dory Funk a couple of times, but we didn't talk much about the inside of wrestling, So a lot of times we think about who can we do that's going to take a substantial amount of time and make it worth your while to watch it, because some of these shows go a half hour, an hour.
Yeah.
So we've got some segments coming up with multiple people where we'll deal with more than just one person per show. I think those will be fun too, because there's a lot of guys that might not have been main eventers and might not have been around a long time, but they've got some fabulous stories to tell, really interesting stories.
I ain't doing anything more
Till
we get our raise.
All
We
right.
want our raise.
I'll give you some raise. Just walk out that door over there.
Oh, it is sunshiny
Yeah,
out
wear
there
your
outside
sunscreen.
today. So that wraps it up. Thanks for throwing your questions at us. We had a lot of fun, brought back a lot of great memories, and hopefully we answered your questions. Keep the questions coming. Maybe we could do another episode like this.
There you go.
And usually we do an outro of introducing a wrestler. Who would we want to do today? Nobody?
We could do Bobby Rocks.
Let's do Bobby Rocks. How about that, Mr. Slapnuts extraordinaire?
Here he comes, ladies and gentlemen, from the bowels of the Jefferson Event Center in Trenton, Michigan. He has wreaked havoc wherever he appears, from coast to coast and border to border. He is the Annihilator. He is Bobby Rocks.
We didn't say how much he weighed and where he comes from. That's what people want to know.